Welcome to another Moonlight Tour. Tonight's theme is romance in the Austen era. Let's get started. The English author Jane Austen lived from 1775 to 1817. Her novels are known for their depiction of early 19th century English country life, including the trials and tribulations of love and marriage. Christopher and Rebecca Gore lived in England from 1796 until 1804. The mansion they built in Waltham, Massachusetts is much like the English manor houses Austen describes in her novels. While we take you through the house, we'll use quotes from Austen's letters and novels to better understand romance in her time. If you enjoyed these videos, please consider making a donation, and please check out our website at goreplace.org. Let's go in. There is no charm equal to tenderness of heart. This quote from Austen's novel Emma could certainly be said of Christopher and Rebecca Gore. Christopher and Rebecca were married in 1785 when he was 27 and she was 26 years old. At the time, Christopher was a young attorney and a financial speculator, well on his way to becoming the wealthiest lawyer in America. Rebecca, born Rebecca Amory Payne, was a well-educated, sophisticated young woman and the daughter of a prominent businessman. In the Gores' day, couples were typically introduced through family connections, often at public events. We don't know how the Gores met, but for a time their fathers owned businesses close to one another in Boston. The two families must have been well acquainted. It's possible that Christopher and Rebecca had been considered a good match from an early age. A large income is the best recipe for happiness I ever heard of. Mansfield Park. In Austen's time, there were few professional opportunities for middle-class women. A good marriage was the best means by which women could achieve financial security. In Austen's novels, everyone seems to know everyone else's annual income. The income a young couple could expect was an important part of any marriage arrangement. The income a woman could bring to the marriage was based on the annual interest on money put aside for her, typically in the form of secure government bonds, which yielded between 4 and 5% annually. For example, in Pride and Prejudice, which centers around the Bennet family, each Bennet girl has £1,000, which will provide an income of just £40 to £50 per year, or $3,000 to $4,000 today. By comparison, the character of Mr. Bingley has an income of £5,000 per year, and the wealthy Mr. Darcy earns £10,000 per year annually. Clearly, the Bennet girls would benefit from a good match. Ownership of land was one way to achieve a substantial income, particularly when there were rents to be collected. A profession such as the military, the ministry, or the law could also provide a suitable income. Christopher Gore had the advantage of both land and a profession. Letter writing was a daily activity and an essential way to keep in touch with family and friends. Society frowned on correspondence between young adults not engaged to be married. Austen makes this clear. In Pride and Prejudice, the character Jane Bennet cannot write directly to her love interest, Mr. Bingley. She can only hope to get news to him by writing to his sisters. Jane has come to London in hopes of seeing Mr. Bingley again, but she fears that his sisters, who do not approve of a match between the two, will not tell him that she has come. Jane is right. A lady's imagination is very rapid. It jumps from admiration to love, from love to matrimony in a moment. Pride and Prejudice. Halls and withdrawing rooms figure prominently in the Austen era. These gracious rooms are the center of social life. The rules of courtship were complicated. Men had to be discreet. Any expression of interest could be mistaken as an intention towards marriage. Couples who violated the strict rules of courting behavior might be assumed to be engaged, and an engagement that did not result in marriage could compromise a young woman's reputation. To be fond of dancing was a certain step towards falling in love. Pride and Prejudice. Men and women used every social occasion to meet prospective partners. In cities and towns, assembly room dances, theatrical, and musical presentations provided opportunities for young men and women to meet. In the country, entertainments and dances had to be organized by families at home or by wealthy landowners for the entire neighborhood. During a party or a ball, young women were not to stroll about unaccompanied. They were always to be with another woman or family member. Nor could couples go about unchaperoned until they were engaged. A gentleman could not ask a lady to dance unless he was first introduced by a mutual acquaintance. When asked to dance, manners dictated that the young lady either accept or say she was not dancing, but that meant she could not accept any other offers that evening. At these dances, contra dancing was very popular. In a contra dance, the couples formed two long rows with the men facing the ladies. When the dance starts, each couple, in turn, completes a series of steps, moving down the middle of the rows, while the other couples look on, an ideal time for young men and women to get to know each other while unchaperoned. In the early 1800s, social calls were an essential duty of daily life. Calls were made in the morning or early afternoon. Gentlemen could call on either men or women. It was not proper for women to call alone on men. Since when calling they could not be sure that anyone was home, visitors carried calling cards printed with their name and address. Leaving a calling card might lead to an invitation to visit, and an invitation to the right homes could increase one's social standing. The day after an evening gathering, young ladies could accept visitors in their homes, including young gentlemen. This was a chance to discuss the prior evening's events and to become better acquainted. We are going to go up the stairs to the second floor. We'll take the family stairs. In Gore's day, the entire house would be used for parties. Billiards was a popular entertainment with both men and women. Typically after dinner, the men and women separated for a time. The ladies to the drawing room, the men to their own amusements. This room is referred to as Rebecca's cabinet. Here, she would sew, play music, enjoy tea with friends, read, or write letters. Jane Austen had a square piano like this one in her upstairs dressing room and regularly attended concerts. An engaged woman is always more agreeable than a disengaged one. She is satisfied with herself. Her cares are over and she feels she may exert all her powers of pleasing without suspicion. All is safe with the lady engaged. No harm can be done. Mansfield Park. A woman could break off an engagement far more easily than a man. Jane Austen herself first accepts and then breaks an engagement. Austen never married and was dependent on her brothers and, to a lesser extent, upon her writing for financial support. Single women have a dreadful propensity for being poor, which is one very strong argument in favor of matrimony. Letters of Jane Austen. Once a couple got engaged and received their parents' consent, the wedding banns, which were church announcements, had to be made 3 times to ensure public consent. In the late 18th century, weddings were quiet affairs held at home with just the immediate family and a few friends in attendance. Austen describes such a wedding in Mansfield Park. The bride was elegantly dressed. The 2 bridesmaids were duly inferior. Her father gave her away. Her mother stood with salts in her hand, expecting to be agitated. Her aunt tried to cry, and the service was impressively read by Dr. Grant. While Jane Austen never married, her works invite us into the world of romance, with its fantasies and realities, for middle-class society in the time of the Gores. I hope you enjoyed your virtual tour. If possible, please consider making a donation. There will be a link with this video, or visit us at goreplace.org. Thank you.